Thomas Hobbes, an English philosopher born in 1588, is best known for his work Leviathan, first published in 1651. This foundational text of political philosophy presents a detailed view of the nature of humanity and the structure of society. Hobbes, writing during a time of political turmoil in England, developed a theory of human nature and the necessity of a strong central authority to prevent societal collapse. Leviathan is a complex and dense text, and its ideas have influenced political thought for centuries, shaping modern political theory and discussions on government, law, and human rights. The state of nature. One of Hobbes's central ideas in Leviathan is the concept of the state of nature, a hypothetical condition in which humans exist without the structure of organized society, laws, or government. In this state, Hobbes argues, humans are driven purely by self-interest, and because there are no enforceable rules or social contracts, life becomes solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. Hobbes viewed human beings as inherently selfish, driven by their desires for self-preservation and the pursuit of pleasure. Without a higher authority to impose rules, individuals would be in constant conflict with one another, each competing for limited resources. Hobbes famously wrote that in the state of nature, every man is enemy to every man. This reflects his belief in the natural equality of all individuals, meaning that every person has the same capacity to harm or be harmed by others. This mutual vulnerability leads to a war of all against all, where no one can feel safe or secure. The lack of trust and cooperation would lead to chaos, which Hobbes sees as the fundamental problem of human existence in the absence of a political order. The social contract. To escape the chaos and insecurity of the state of nature, Hobbes argues that individuals must come together and form a social contract. This contract is a mutually agreed-upon arrangement where individuals surrender some of their natural freedoms in exchange for the security and order provided by a governing authority. This is not a contract between individuals and one another, but rather a contract between individuals and the sovereign, the authority they establish to maintain peace. Hobbes is clear that the social contract is not a democracy in the modern sense. The sovereign created through the contract holds absolute power over the subjects. The purpose of this sovereign authority is to ensure peace, security, and the protection of the individuals from the dangers of the state of nature. The authority of the sovereign, according to Hobbes, must be unquestioned and absolute, for only such power can prevent the descent back into chaos and disorder. The role of the sovereign. The sovereign in Hobbes's theory is likened to a Leviathan, a metaphor taken from the biblical sea monster. This powerful figure is responsible for maintaining order and upholding the social contract. The sovereign, whether in the form of a monarch, an assembly, or any other system, must possess absolute authority to enforce laws, maintain peace, and ensure the protection of its subjects. Hobbes argues that only a centralized and undivided power can effectively prevent civil war and maintain social harmony. One of the key features of Hobbes' argument is that the sovereign must have the authority to make decisions in all matters of law, security, and even religion. This centralization of power is necessary to maintain the social contract and ensure the safety of all individuals. In Hobbes' view, the sovereign is not bound by the same laws that govern ordinary citizens. The sovereign's power is beyond reproach, and their decisions are final and unquestionable. While Hobbes' idea of an absolute sovereign might seem authoritarian, he argues that the alternative, anarchy or civil war, would be far worse. Hobbes contends that it is better to live under a powerful, even tyrannical ruler than to live in constant fear of violence and disorder. This reflects his belief in the primacy of order and security over liberty and individual autonomy. The nature of government and law. Hobbes' theory also extends to the nature of government and law. He believed that laws are essential to prevent individuals from acting solely based on their self-interest, which would lead to conflict. The sovereign enacts laws to provide guidance for citizens, ensuring that society operates in a peaceful and structured manner. Laws are not merely guidelines, but are backed by the threat of force and punishment, which Hobbes sees as a necessary part of governance. In this sense, Hobbes is a proponent of legal positivism, the view that laws derive their authority not from moral principles, but from the power of the sovereign. The legitimacy of the law comes not from its justness, but from the fact that it is enacted by the sovereign, who has the authority to create and enforce laws for the common good. Without such a system, Hobbes argues, people would revert to their natural instincts, leading to chaos and violence. Human nature and morality. A major theme of Hobbes's Leviathan is his view of human nature. He believed that humans are naturally driven by self-preservation and the desire for power. This view of human nature is often referred to as psychological egoism, the belief that all human actions are motivated by self-interest, even in seemingly altruistic behaviors. For Hobbes, morality is not a set of inherent principles, but is instead created by the social contract. In the state of nature, without laws or a sovereign authority, moral principles have no binding force. However, once individuals agree to form a society and submit to a sovereign authority, morality becomes a set of rules established by the sovereign to regulate behavior and maintain order. In this sense, Hobbes' moral philosophy is closely tied to his political theory. Moral rules are those established by the sovereign to ensure the survival and security of the state. The problem of religion. Religion plays a significant role in Hobbes's theory, as he saw it as a potential source of conflict and division. In the state of nature, where there are no common religious or moral standards, different interpretations of religion could lead to violence and disorder. Hobbes argues that the sovereign must have control over religious matters to prevent such divisions. He was particularly concerned about the influence of the Catholic Church in England at the time, and the potential for religious authorities to challenge the power of the sovereign. Hobbes insists that religious belief and practice should be subordinated to the authority of the sovereign. The sovereign must have the power to determine which religious practices are permissible and to suppress those that threaten the peace and stability of the state. Hobbes also believes that religion, when properly controlled, can contribute to the stability of society. He argues that religious beliefs can reinforce the authority of the sovereign, helping to unify the people under a common set of beliefs and practices. In this way, religion serves as a tool of social cohesion rather than a cause of division. Criticisms and legacy. Hobbes' ideas in Leviathan have been both praised and criticized. On one hand, his emphasis on the necessity of a strong central authority has influenced modern political thought, especially in the development of theories of state sovereignty and the role of government. His view of human nature as self-interested and driven by a desire for power also laid the groundwork for later thinkers such as John Locke and Jean-Jacques Rousseau. On the other hand, Hobbes' advocacy for absolute sovereignty has drawn criticism from those who argue that such power is inherently tyrannical. His dismissal of individual rights in favor of the greater good of social stability has been challenged by advocates of liberal democracy who argue that government should be accountable to the people and should respect individual freedoms. Despite these criticisms, Leviathan remains a key text in political philosophy, offering profound insights into the nature of government, law, and society. Hobbes' work continues to be studied and debated by political theorists, philosophers, and historians, and his ideas remain relevant to contemporary discussions about the balance between individual freedom and state authority. Leviathan is a monumental work in the history of political thought, offering a detailed and systematic theory of human nature, society, and government. Hobbes' ideas about the state of nature, the social contract, and the absolute sovereign have shaped our understanding of politics and governance. His belief in the necessity of a strong, centralized authority to maintain order and security remains influential, even as his view of human nature as inherently selfish and power-seeking continues to provoke debate. Through Leviathan, Hobbes provides a vision of society in which the sovereign is central to the preservation of peace and order, making it one of the most important works in the history of political philosophy.